the Chicago Bears make the playoffs in 2021? What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, hit that big red subscribe button down below. Make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms, guys, and hit the bell icon so you are notified every time I drop a new video. Okay, you see the question here. As we're getting closer and closer to the season, it's time to make my predictions. So I'm going to be posting a lot of my NFL predictions on whether or not, teams make the playoffs, who's missing, who's not, award predictions, all that good stuff. So the question I'm starting with today is my very own Chicago Bears. Will they make the playoffs? And last year, we all know that the Bears made the playoffs. That extra wild card spot helped them a lot last year. Maybe it'll help them again this year. Let's talk about that. But they lost to the Saints in that game. And they made the playoffs with a pretty mediocre record. So this year, how is the outlook looking for the Bears? I'm going to go ahead and dive into the whiteboard behind me and take a look at if the Bears will make the playoffs in 2021. Let's get into it. All right, so will the Bears make the playoffs in 2021? So you see the whiteboard behind me. Basically, what I'm going to do is essentially a process of elimination. So instead of focusing on the Bears, I'm going to take a look at the rest of the conference and see which teams we know are surefire locks to make the playoffs, and then kind of eliminate teams that way and see, okay, how many spots are left for the Bears to potentially make the playoffs. So that's what we're going to do. We all know after last season, we have an additional playoff spot. So there's essentially 7 teams that make the playoffs in the NFC, 4 division winners and 3 wildcard teams. So we'll go through each of the divisions and pick out the teams that I believe will make the playoffs, and then we'll kind of end up seeing where the Bears stack up there. So with that being said, let's take a look at the NFC North, the division that the Bears, of course, play in. And here's where I'm at, folks. I think the only lock in this division to make the playoffs are the Green Bay Packers. We all know this is because Aaron Rodgers has said he is coming back. It is now official. We know that. Jordan Love will have to wait an additional year. If Jordan Love was going to be the starting quarterback for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers was not coming back, we all know that we would not have picked the Packers to make the playoffs. But either they win the division or they get a wild card spot. I just don't see how they miss the playoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and write down the Packers here. Okay. And by the way, this is in no particular order. It's actually in alphabetical order. Excuse me. So the rest of the teams in the division, the Vikings, Lions, and Bears, I certainly don't think the Lions are making the playoffs, but between the Bears and Vikings, it's iffy again. We're talking about the Bears here, so we'll get back to them, all right? Let's take a look at the NFC South here, and we all know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are making the playoffs. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. Even if they regress, there's no way they miss the damn playoffs, so I am marking them as a lock for the playoff spot. The Falcons, no, they didn't make it last year, and they did make some improvements, but I'm not ready to go there yet. Neither am I with the Panthers or the Saints, who made the playoffs last year, but they don't have Drew Brees this year. And I'm not putting my trust in Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, even if Sean Payton is still there. So the only team I've got as a lock is the Bucs. All right, moving on over here to the NFC East, the worst division in football. And we have the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and Washington football team. Again, I don't feel like any of these are locks, but we know somebody has to win the division. And the team that I have the most confidence in is the Dallas Cowboys. I know they didn't win the division last year. The Washington football team did. But look, Dak Prescott got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, he was tearing it up. And I believe the Cowboys would have made the playoffs and won that division. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this division. And finally, we've got the best division in football, I believe, in the NFC West here with the 4 teams here. And I believe the NFC West has the potential to have 3 playoff teams, but let's just talk about the locks themselves. I'm going to go ahead and say the Rams, who have Matt Stafford now at quarterback, are a lock to make the playoffs. And I believe the Seahawks, they just, they're solid and steady every year with Russell Wilson under center, so I believe they're a lock to make the playoffs. So, taking those teams into account and filling in this bracket, again, no particular order in terms of record, but I'm just going to go ahead and put down teams here. Let's say the Bucs, Packers, Cowboys, and Rams. And again, I don't know who's going to win the division between these two, but let's go ahead and put the Seahawks here. Okay. That basically leaves 2 spots. All right, 2 spots here in terms of who is going to make the playoffs. And when I go back to this list here and I talk about the teams that are kind of on that playoff bubble, well, let's go ahead and go back to the divisions. Again, Washington football team made it last year, so they're a team on the bubble. The Cardinals, could you see them make the playoffs? Yeah. Could I see the 49ers make the playoffs? Yeah. Over here, Falcons, Panthers, Saints. I don't really see the Falcons or Panthers, but I can see the Saints maybe making the playoffs. And then over here, Bears and Vikings, right? So essentially, yeah, you have 2 playoff spots, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the mix for these 2 spots, all right? So if it was up to me deciding here, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't believe the Saints make it. I can't trust that quarterback combination with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. I don't care how good Sean Payton is and that team is. And they're in a same division as the Bucs, so that doesn't help. So now we're down to what? 2, 4, 5, okay? Cardinals, 49ers. Between these 2 teams, I'm going to go ahead and say the 49ers don't. Again, they do have a fairly easy schedule, but we're talking about a quarterback controversy. Is it Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it Trey Lance? Who's going to start at quarterback? And I just don't see the 49ers figuring that out and being able to make the playoffs. I see the Cardinals as more of a threat. And now we're down to 4 teams in Washington, Arizona, Minnesota, and Chicago. So I believe that between these 4 teams, the Bears have just as good of a shot to make the playoffs here. And the teams that I feel the most confident in is the Arizona Cardinals with another year under center for Kyler Murray. I think he's going to get better. They still have DeAndre Hopkins there. They signed J.J. Watt in the offseason. Their defense is going to improve. And another year for Cliff Kingsbury. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Cards in as a playoff team. Again, I love this division, folks, if you guys can't tell. I have 3 playoff teams in this division. And then right here, we're basically talking about the last playoff spot between the Vikings, Bears, and the Washington football team. So the Bears have a shot to make the playoffs here. It's just going to be competing with these teams. So will they make the playoffs? I believe they will, just because, like I said, they're in contention here, and we've got an extra playoff spot. And just like we did last year, we made the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky. We're talking about an improved Bears team, right? They've added a sturdy offensive line. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. Justin Fields has the potential to start, and we know he could be fantastic. And this Bears team made the playoffs last year with Mitchell Trubisky under center. So you know Andy Dalton could still provide improved play there. So we take a look at that. The Vikings didn't really get that much better. The Washington football team added Ryan Fitzpatrick, but can you really count on him? So I think the Bears have a good shot here. Again, they're going to be competing with the teams the likes of the Vikings and Washington football team, but I like their chances to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be right on that wild card spot bubble, if you will. This is, of course, assuming that the quarterback situation is somewhat stable and we're not just going back and forth between Dalton and Fields. I hope that's not the case. But that's how I feel about it, folks. I believe the Bears have a shot, and I do think they make the playoffs, but they will be on that bubble instead of a playoff lock. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.